Hey, good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran with the media, and I am again so happy to have you here for The Family Knows Who Took Miss Nancy Guthrie, Part 4. Okay, I don't know how many parts we're going to have, but I feel like I needed to go through the Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb interview again tonight, again dissecting all of the words and how it ties back to a perpetrator who had the patience to spend months communicating with Savannah, trying to get Savannah to do something, Savannah not doing what the perpetrator wanted her to do, and the perpetrator, again, with patience and planning, taking her mother on February 1st. So let me get my screen shared here. While I'm doing that, please make sure that you take this opportunity to subscribe, like, share, comment. I know I always make funny faces when I'm doing my screens. I'm working on that. So, all right. Thank you, everybody who has been watching. Also, I just want to give a shout out because I read all of your comments. I want to read everything. I want to hear everything. And while I am sharing my theory about how the family knows who took Nancy, you know, it's still an open book. This book is not finished, and I have a very open mind to anything and everything. And I believe that investigators can definitely get pigeonholed once they close their minds off. And I refuse to be that way. I refuse to be that way. Oh boy, here I just did something bad. Okay, so let me go ahead. Now, I'm going to be stopping and starting this video. I know that it isn't always the best thing to do, and it drives people crazy. Let me take this now. I have to fix my thing really quick. It drives people crazy, but tonight I am going to be doing that. All right, share. All right, here we go. I had to get my little thingies ready. All right, so let me go here. Sorry, guys. I'm usually a little bit more put together than I am right now. All right, so we're going to stop and start this. So just be patient because, again, tonight my goal tonight is to really dive in and analyze Savannah and what she's saying. And we are gathering information that is underneath the surface. And part of that can be found in this interview with Hoda and Savannah. So let's get started.
So I guess a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. Mm-hmm. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. And we were just saying,
hold on.
She said, Mom's missing.
There we go.
And I said, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic.
Okay, so this is my first indication that, again, when we see people who are not telling the truth, they ramble. Okay, and again, an example that I use is Lynette Hooker went missing in the Bahamas. Her husband, Brian Hooker, calls Lynette's daughter, Carly, one time and leaves this message where, in the matter of 30 seconds, has completely diarrheaed exactly, your mom is missing. They can't find her. We were on the boat. She fell out of the boat. I threw the life jacket. Okay, gave way too much information. And things that a normal person would not include. Okay. So this is the very first moment where Savannah goes off what really happened. And I can tell you that this is where she's starting to give us a pretend version of what happened that first day, those first hours, because she's not looking at Hoda, she's looking to the left. And I'm gonna start this over again, and you'll see where there's a shift in what she's starting to say with this made up story, because she can't tell what really happened in that first phone call with Annie. She cannot tell what happened in that first phone call with Annie because it's probably been requested that she not, and she's an honest person and she doesn't lie. She's not a good liar. And this is where we can see that she starts making stuff up and rambling. So I'm going to start this over again.
Take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home.
So she's looking at Hoda. She's looking at Hoda. She's looking directly at her. She's relaying in order of what happened. And again, when we relay information, our brain is like a computer, and we relay information in the order in which it happened. Things are right now are very truthful. She came home, saw her husband. She's got the kids. Great weekend. And so far, we're good.
We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around.
We're in order.
And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?"
She's
And she
still
said,
looking at
"No."
Hoda.
She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone."
Right, we're still there.
And she was in a panic.
Here we go. This is where we lose her. She says, we were in a panic. Okay. She's trying to fabricate something of that phone call because she needs to talk about what happened on the phone call without saying what happened on the phone call.
I was in a panic. I'm like,
she's stuttering. I was in a panic. She was in a panic. We're now rambling.
Call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night.
That's true. This is true. She's looking at Hoda, and even Sergeant James Cross recently, which is confusing, recently came out and said that it was the family who convinced law enforcement at first that she walked off, but family saying no, her memory was like sharp as a tack. Okay, so this part is true. We've got the truth. She's looking right at Hoda. She's not stammering. She's not blah, 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 blah.
And that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
This is true.
And that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back.
Because at this point, they are trying to figure out what happened to Mom. Okay. And again, I'm not really talking at this point about if there was a lapse of time between Annie getting to the house. I'm not talking about that because Savannah's not talking about that. So we're just dealing with what Savannah is saying and what she's not saying.
But her phone was there and her purse was there
true.
and all her things. Yeah. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call them.
So this is not true. This part of it is not true. At this point, she's been talking and answering this question for a few minutes. And again, she has to stay away from certain things. So at this point, she's not rambling, but I think she's ad-libbing. Okay. Maybe Annie thought that there was a medical emergency, and did Annie really call the hospitals? I don't think Annie did. Annie did not need to call the hospitals because all they would have to do is have law enforcement call to see if there was a 911 call placed in the night, and if EMS or paramedics responded, fire department would have responded. So I think she's filling air right now.
hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and
And
the police were there.
She's looking away when she's saying that, because I don't think this is, I think she's filling air. She's looking away.
Talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Cam when you got
Yeah.
to their house. Tell me about that moment.
So Annie and Cam are at the house, and Savannah gets to the house. And this is the first conversation they have face to face, which is, to me, this is the most important conversation that points us to where we need to be without saying it.
Disbelief and hugging each other. And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear as.
Let me finish this sentence.
Let
me rewind that just a second, because she says, really, she's on the phone. They're in disbelief. They're hugging each other. They're on the phone with the sheriff, trying to make it clearer.
And trying to, really make clear as.
She's trying to make clearer that Mom did not walk off. The very first day, law enforcement treated this as a walk-off because, again, law enforcement, they go off patterns, okay? Human behavior patterns. And an 84-year-old woman, even with a mobility issue, at some point is going to have a mental break, okay, and could walk off. They're considered, vulnerable human beings. And even though the family's in denial, this is from law enforcement, the family's in denial, this lady walked off. There's nothing sinister or nefarious going on here. And they've been spending all day trying to get across to law enforcement that she didn't just walk off. And here's the thing. We don't know Annie's personality at all. We don't know if Annie is timid. We don't know if the brother-in-law is timid. We don't know how much Annie and the brother-in-law knew that somebody had been communicating with Savannah. We don't know how much they knew. I don't know how much Cam knew, but it becomes pretty clear that by this time that Savannah gets to Annie's house, they're starting to make the connection. Savannah has called Senator Mark Kelly, to try to get Mark Kelly involved to get the sheriff to understand. And at first I thought, there's no way Sheriff Nanos is going to lose his beauty sleep and be up at 2 a.m. or whatever time this was. But it's very possible that he was.
From the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying, this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off.
Mm-hmm. And they've been trying to convince them.
She was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep.
Which is terrifying.
And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
So the family knows.
This is
do something.
This is not okay.
And Hoda just says do something. Hoda said do something because Hoda's already talked to Savannah and Hoda knows what really happened, and they were trying to get law enforcement to do something. So Hoda filled in the blank. You guys need to treat this. This is serious. You guys need to do something different. So Hoda is saying, you guys need to do something. Get off your butts and do something.
This isn't, something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like what could have happened? What went down? Did you?
I think my brother.
And here she's thinking very carefully, what can I say? She's pausing for a moment, and her brother, again, anytime she leads off with compliments of her siblings, it's because at this point she is so grateful that they haven't emotionally and physically abandon her because she feels so much guilt, even though it's not deserved. And I want to be very, very clear. No matter what has happened here, this is not her fault.
I mean, my siblings are so amazing.
She's leading off with compliments. She cannot believe that her siblings are standing by her through this.
My brother, you know, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone.
So now she's indicating that even on the phone earlier, the first thing Cam says, having military intelligence, and Cam knows that Savannah may have in the past expressed concern that there's this person contacting her, blah, blah, blah. Cam is like, they took mom. Annie gets to the house and is looking at the house, searching for mom, looking for clues, talking with law enforcement, trying to explain to them that it isn't a walk-off. Maybe Annie doesn't fully understand what's been going on in Savannah's past. Maybe Annie doesn't even know. Savannah, we don't know what relationship she has with each of her siblings. It could be that Savannah has confided in Cam about, and I don't want to call him a stalker, but maybe an obsessive fan. We'll just call this person an obsessive fan. Maybe she felt comfortable talking to Cam because he comes across as very stoic, intelligent, quiet, still water runs deep, a man of few words, very intelligent. And with his military intelligence background, she may have confided in him asking opinions, but there's no doubt that Cam went directly past go, do not collect $200. He went right to they kidnapped mom. He knew exactly what it was. And again, we don't know how much Annie knew. So Annie, again, might have known that mom didn't just walk off, but she may not realize, or maybe there were bells. And again, when people go into denial, you're going through every single emotion. In these moments, these people, their body like physically went through an entire surge of emotions.
When I called him, he knew.
He knew. She said,
and he said, I think she's been kidnapped.
I think she's
For
been
ransom.
kidnapped. And this is where she's telling us. And again, if you're just joining me, I am going to be stopping this video because I'm analyzing every single word of what Savannah's saying and what she's not saying. So be patient. We're not going to just watch this through. She just told us right now, he knew. He had to tell Savannah, yes, this is because of you. And even though Sheriff Nanos is a knucklehead, put it kindly, he has come out and said that they've known since day one what has happened, and that hasn't changed.
And I said,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But
well, and I want to say these people, she's a little naive. Okay. I think Annie's a little naive. I mean, I certainly don't have any street cred, but these people are, I mean, I think they've been very safe their entire life. They've not dealt with anything unpleasant. Okay. She's going to take a minute to comprehend that this type of badness not only exists, but has now, she says, has come to their front door. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I think she is a little naive. I think her sister is a little naive. They have been protected. And it's going to take them a minute to understand that this has even happened on this second day.
I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me?
And see, her emotion has just changed here. And this is where she can't go. She cannot go to that place because if she knows it's because of obsessive fan, we refer to porch guy, but whoever it is behind the levers and toggles, she cannot fully go there emotionally because it's, as she says, it's too much to bear. The weight of something that she has done or has not done has caused this horrible thing. And again, when she talks about her siblings, she loves them so much. They have not abandoned her. And how many people could turn, nasty and blame a sibling for their mother? I mean, they're all affected. And this is her fault, and it's not, but it's her fault. She's a broken human being. She's broken. Horrible. She's being tortured.
I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
She couldn't go
I
there.
hope not. I mean, we still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
She's saying we don't know because technically until it's finalized, they don't know. And you hear that her voice lifts. We don't know. And you know what? That's hope. That's hope. Maybe it isn't me.
We don't know anything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That it's because she's my mom and somebody thought
They could get a buck.
That girl, that lady has money. We can make a quick buck.
See, this is what she's heard. She's heard this from somebody. Again, when Savannah goes off script, so far in this conversation, and we're literally 4 minutes in, when Savannah goes off script, Savannah's very honest. When Savannah goes off script, her words start tripping over themselves, and words don't come out right. And she's trying to downplay this, but she's looking at Hoda, and she's relaying probably in an as indirect way as possible without verbatim saying what's been in these notes, but somebody's probably asked her for money.
I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is
She can't take it.
too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside.
And in that, her punishing herself is, if I had just done what this guy or dealt with what this person wanted, if I had just done something, could I have prevented this? Because she didn't do something. She didn't react. She didn't address. She didn't reply. She didn't pay attention. She didn't do what this person needed her to do. And now this has happened.
That it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy.
I mean, she can't, and she mentions Tommy because even Tommy's bandmate couldn't leave his home originally. People were outside the bandmate's home. The bandmate's life has been ruined by this, and these people's lives have been ruined. And she and I say she's tortured, and I don't use that word lightly. She is broken. And I am so impressed that she has gotten out of bed and gone back to work. I'm so impressed.
My brother-in-law, I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing,
Mhm.
and we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes.
And this is exactly where I believe that they have more information from the video. We only saw a portion of that video. There's obviously some indication that she left in her pajamas with no shoes on specifically. You know, is it that her bed shoes or all her shoes were in the room? I don't know. You know, we don't know. We're just putting this together. But Savannah is looking straight at Hoda, and she's giving every signal that she knows exactly what she's talking about. And this is 100% the truth right here. And it's very possible, again, that the family has more information. The only thing that Savannah has addressed during this entire interview is the fact that she pointed to her brother coming out during a phone call and in person saying somebody took mom for money. And she alluded to, is it somebody who saw me and thought they could get a quick buck? So it's just as simple as that. And again, targeted abductions have to do with revenge, retaliation, obsession. And this is exactly what this was. And it's 100% tied to Savannah.
Without her medicine, this little person. And to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the two notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Yeah, and she knows these are real, again, because there's the only thing that we know is there's information in the notes that only somebody who had been in Nancy's home would have known. And again, she's shaking her head yes. They have inside information. The senator has been on this. Kash Patel with the FBI has been on this. And there is certain information that they know. And going back to them being in the home, you know, I even thought to myself, they're all huddled up together in Annie's house for the first week or so. It felt odd that nobody was coming out and speaking on the front lawn, the family members. Nobody was coming out and handing out flyers. Nobody was coming out and pounding the pavement. And I believe now that the reason why nobody was coming out and pounding the pavement in a normal situation is because there was enough background information to know that this was a person who had planned, a long tail game with the recon, with once the video porch guy, and they knew the January 11th, they knew that this person had done a lot of recon. It was sophisticated enough that this wasn't going to possibly be something that people on the street were going to be able to help with. Okay. They know that somebody knows something, but I believe that there is also a degree of danger in them coming out. And she's going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue. And I'll talk about the degree of danger that they could have been under.
When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying.
And it is. It's unbelievable.
And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
Poor Nancy. I mean,
it's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video.
Mm-hmm.
To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl
about Tommy.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
And she's thinking that people are going to look at Porch Guy and realize it isn't the brother-in-law, but there are still a lot of people. There are a lot of people who think that Porch Guy looks like a woman. But again, I'm going to have to say that if there was any connection to the family, they would have already had a perp walk. They would already have a mugshot. He would have been detained. This would be that we wouldn't have questions right now. If it was a family member, they would already have been nabbed. Okay. The sheriff's department has taken so much heat. They've been called Keystone Cops, and the family was looked at so deeply in the very beginning. And I was on board with the family too. I'm thinking there's no way this isn't, a family member. Okay. Who and how deep it runs, I don't know. I mean, there's even a kid that we don't know if the kids can do really bad things. Okay. We've seen it in true crime. And there's just the low-hanging fruit of going after the family members. It's too easy in the middle of the night to get a search warrant for a cell phone, to get a search warrant for the car. They took the car, to get a search warrant for the house, their financial records. And again, there's no way that if they found anything that was out of whack with the family member 97, 98 days in, they would have already had their big moment of walking that guy or girl in cuffs. Okay. It's not a family member. Okay. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And I've been there myself.
When
So,
you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers,
my mind is
the
open
innuendo
still, though.
that it was somebody in your family. How did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain.
Yeah, they want the body. They don't, at this point, they don't care about just
There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother.
So sweet.
And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came, and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately.
And here she's talking about they had to move houses many times because people came and they're not respectful, unfortunately. And agreed. Media, hello, YouTubers, hello. I get it. I mean, there were people going back and forth between Nancy and Annie's house, totally. But while that is something to be concerned about, at this point, people blend in. And they probably did not know and do not know what her obsessive fan looks like. And he could easily have been standing out there. So definitely, while the media was a concern, it's not what she's saying that's important here. She's concerned about the media, but more so because they're sitting inside the house looking out going, okay, is this guy blending in with the media? That's why they moved houses. They moved a few times. They were at Annie's house, which was too obvious because she lives in a neighborhood that's shaped somewhat similarly to Nancy, where it's rural, not a lot of visibility because of the fauna and flora, and the streets are narrow, not a traditional kind of cookie cutter subdivision type neighborhood. It's not that. And, the media is going to take advantage. I mean, this is the biggest story. This is big. And yeah, they moved houses because they weren't safe. And I think they went to a second house and then people found them and then they moved again.
Mm-hmm. There was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert.
And see, she's remembering this and she's remembering it, and emotions coming up into her throat because, and I thought this is really dramatic. Like they're leaving in the middle of the night, holding hands, running to a car, fleeing. Okay. I'm thinking that's a little dramatic, but I'm looking at it that way, thinking that this could be something other than somebody who has been watching Savannah and has been connecting with Savannah. And again, they're not so afraid of the regular media. They're afraid of this person hiding and blending in with the media. And they probably did have to leave at night. Annie has a child, and they were probably really scared because this person, I mean, you think, well, what is this guy going to do? Well, let's see. He walked into their mother's house, took her, struck her, probably began the end of her life and took her away. So yeah, this person, if you could do that to an 84-year-old grandma, you could do anything. It's disgusting.
Holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I get into a car waiting for us because the people outside were closing in.
It's the purpose.
We found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
people have worked tirelessly.
And this is where she's saying, but she's not saying, that she's disappointed that more hasn't been done but she's still going to be complimentary of the law enforcement that's working on it because she has no choice but to be complimentary. She can't come out and say she's disappointed that they haven't solved this, that they don't have the person. She doesn't feel safe. Her family doesn't feel safe. I don't know if Annie and the brother-in-law have gone back to work. I know Cam has gone back to work. He went back to work in March, and she's gone back to work, but I don't know about the siblings, and they probably don't feel. I wouldn't be surprised if they've not even gone home. I wouldn't feel safe. You're right, Joe. This is, if it's about Savannah, he certainly is there. Of course he is. He's wanting to see the terror. He's wanting to say, Savannah, you should have just listened to me. So, okay, you're confused about the moving. So the house, Nancy's house, is where they all grew up, and Nancy owned that house since the 70s. She's been there for 50 years. She wasn't going to leave that house. Annie is the daughter and lived about 4 miles away. And so when Savannah and Cam first got to Tucson, they were staying at Annie's house, 4 miles away from Nancy's house. Media was going between Nancy's house and Annie's house, knowing that Savannah was inside Annie's house. And so the Guthrie family, the siblings, ended up leaving Annie's house in the middle of the night when the media wasn't there, so they could go somewhere safe and not be found. But I believe they had to move twice, and they ended up in what I believe is a gated community. And again, at first, I'm like you guys. I'm thinking, oh wow, poor Savannah, you had to flee in the middle of the night to a $1 million gated community. I'm so sorry, while you're sitting inside a house, not helping look for your mother. But there is a degree of danger here, and they were all terrified. They couldn't leave the city because they want to get their mother, and they're hoping that she's still alive and that they can be there when she's recovered. That did not happen. They stuck it out for a month, and they realized she's probably already dead. There's nothing we can do here. This investigation sucks. They can't say it, but this investigation sucks. This Nimrod was good enough that he's gotten away with it thus far, and they needed to do something for their mental health and try to go back to a normal life, because they realize they're not going to get their mother back, and they have to figure out a new normal. So yeah, she and it is tough, but I'm convinced that they weren't afraid of the media. They're afraid of the freaking perp blending in. He's a creep, and I'm sure he was there. Absolutely was there.
And we see that.
He's ruthless, and this was retaliation.
But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
Mm-hmm. You speak about your mom always in the present tense.
Yeah. I mean, she is present tense to me.
Do you feel her, or have you heard her any moments?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought. She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like a grounded, earthy, she fought for it faith.
When you put,
and this is where they we literally worship her. And I mean, I obviously have no idea if this is the case, but I'm telling you, at this point, they loved her and thought she was so, godly and wonderful and a genuinely wonderful human being, that she's probably become Savannah's higher power. Savannah probably prays to her mother and looks at her as a saint, which is wonderful. Which is really nice to be able to talk to your mom, even after they're gone. I think they're still there. That's just me. I think they're with us.
Posted, please pray in the beginning. The ocean of love and prayers. Did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, I do. I believe that. I think she would have been just amazed. Just truly amazed.
One of the images that stayed with me through all of this was you and Annie and Tommaso walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes as I saw them.
And that I have to say, because I was there a week ago. I went to Tucson last week and got to see the memorial, since it had been in just about 90 days. And the yellow flowers are so beautiful, and somebody keeps replenishing those flowers. And the smell, I can still smell the beautiful flowers, and all the things that you see there in this picture are all still lovingly there. People have drawn pictures. It's just like you see here. It's still there. The neighbors are taking care of this memorial. They really cared.
I wonder if Savannah's going inside, and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's, your childhood home, your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember. So we moved there when I was about 4, I think. Mm-hmm. It's the house where I came home on a Friday night at 16, and my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. It's the house where all of our memories are, good and bad. So it's hallowed ground.
Hallowed ground again.
My mom loved and treasured that house in good years and lean years. They were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom's safe haven.
So again, looking at this, I mean, these are all pretty direct, comments. Again, she's talking about things in proper order. She's not stumbling over words. Really, it was just those first 5 minutes where she's talking about that first day and her conversation with Annie, where she's making some things up. She's not sharing on that first day those real conversations that were setting this up for what's really been going on with law enforcement and the FBI. And so again, those first few days are where this investigation was set up and laid out. And I mean, I racked my brain for the first at 60 days. I'm still racking my brain. Okay. So again, I'm open-minded because we won't know till we know exactly what has happened here. But I literally went through any motive. I was learning about motives. I was, just like you guys, learning about, okay, what could this be? Because it just doesn't make sense. Okay. And yes, Occam's razor, the most obvious thing is the answer. Well, one of the most obvious things here is with Savannah being a celebrity, obsessive fan, and it just didn't make sense that we hadn't heard anything about an obsessive fan. It just nothing makes sense. But I believe that there has been a very long game that somebody played out. Savannah had been contacted and was supposed to have done something, was asked to do something, was asked to behave or respond. I don't know, obviously, what it was, but whatever it is, she didn't do what she was supposed to do. And this person was going to get her attention some way or another. Okay. I think that this situation was done in a very sophisticated manner, other than the fact that porch guy really screwed it up when there was a physical altercation at the front door. That was not supposed to have happened. They were supposed to have just taken Nancy safely, and this person was going to get attention or money from Savannah, and then the mother was going to go back, because there's a big difference. I mean, obviously this guy is off, but there's a big difference between kidnap and murder. Big difference. Okay. And it's hard to believe, but if somebody's going to opt into kidnap, I mean, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch that somebody would opt into murder, but it's not the same thing. I mean, you can opt into kidnap without opting into murder. Okay. And obviously I'm not a criminal. Hold on, let me turn this. I have a foot heater here and it's getting kind of warm. So yes, 10 theories. Yes. And that the phone call, the very first day when Savannah's talking about trying to figure out what happened and the confusion that happened that first day, all the emotions they're going through, again, in the first 4 or 5 minutes of this interview, is the only time of this interview where Savannah is stumbling over her words. She's not holding Hoda's direct eye contact. You can tell that she's covering up. She's making up conversation that first day, but it's that first day that is where she is explaining or sharing, or they're talking about what has happened with this obsessive fan / stalker. And she can't share that on this show. But everything else at this point, honestly, I mean, I'm looking at how she's doing her delivery, and pretty much everything now that she's sharing is safe, especially talking about their past and growing up. Those things are safe comments. Those are safe. That's safe conversation. So I don't know that I really want to continue. Let me just kind of fast forward. Let me just spot check the rest of this interview, because again, I'm looking for places in this interview where the obvious is not, or the truth isn't being told. So let me just fast forward.
And meaning. She had a million friends.
Mm-hmm.
She stayed strong for us.
And this is all
she was
true.
Resolute.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about
Losing
the
your
dad,
husband, all the different things that
all
your
the
mom
memories,
had been through.
no problem with the memories.
Nancy, how do you keep your faith?
Yes.
I'm heartbroken.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I am crushed, but I am not abandoned. No, we are not alone. So we need an answer. And someone has it in their power to help.
And then this part, and we're going to look at her Instagram videos again, because everyone's wondering, why she's using the words that she's using, the very soft language, and she's communicating directly with the kidnapper, and she's trying to reach out and touch his, the human side of this guy. If you have been obsessed with me, and I'm just, talking like she would in her head, if you've been a fan of mine, and you care about me, please just let me know where my mother is. Okay. It's not too late. And please do the right thing. And these are moments where she's talking specifically to that person, that human side of this person. And in her language, in her Instagram messages, is almost apologetic. Like, she can't come out and say, I'm sorry, I did not reply to you. I'm sorry, I didn't give you the respect you deserved. She can't say those things because they're trying to keep the investigation mum. But that's really what this is she's trying to almost apologize to this guy and reach his humanity, and at least just give me her body back. Let me know where her body is. Okay. They just want their mother to get that closure.
It is never too late. And when you do, the warmth of love and forgiveness that will come will be greater than can be imagined.
And she even just says it, the warmth of love and forgiveness. I can forgive you. And I truly believe, I mean, these people, I truly believe that they're the type of people that would forgive them. You know, stand up and say, I've forgiven them in my heart, their religion, everything like that. I truly believe she's telling him, please, I forgive you. If something bad went off the rails, please just give me my mom back.
I know what it is to be forgiven.
Yes.
And there is no greater joy.
Yes.
And that joy awaits whoever can hear this and find it in their heart to help.
Yes. You're focusing on people in Tucson. Somebody there must have seen or known something and maybe forgot about it or didn't pay attention to it.
How can someone vanish without a trace?
Yeah.
How? Someone knows something, even if that something is someone's been acting strange for the last 7-8 weeks, even if it's just that. Somebody knows. And maybe somebody's afraid. And I understand that. But our hearts are in agony. We can't breathe. We can't live. We can't go on. We can't be at peace. We can't go forward. We have to know what happened to her.
Yes.
And again, this is to the kidnapper. If you care about me, please, if you care about me, like I think maybe you do, please help me. Please help me and do the right thing. And forgiveness is there for you on that other side.
You talked about coming back to New York. One of the other enduring images for me was walking into Studio 1A.
And
seeing
I
you
don't know that
there,
we need to go any further with
speaking
this.
to
I do want to
everybody.
go back.
What was it like?
And I know this feels redundant, but I feel like really honestly, the first 5 minutes are the most important. And this is where, again, this is the part of the interview where Savannah is not sharing a lot about that first day and those first few conversations. So I do want to go back for folks who have just joined us. I really want to go back to where she's really fumbling over her words and she's giving that signal that she's not being completely, and I'm not saying that she's not lying. What she's doing, she's not telling us everything. So I'm going to scoot back to the very beginning and we're just going to watch the first few minutes because that's really where I'm getting most of this information about what really happened that day and why she's specifically not sharing. Because if they didn't know who this was, she would not be covering up whatever it is she's covering up in this first 5 minutes. So let's go back.
Take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing.
And
Tell me
this
what
is
you
where
were
we
doing and
see
what happened.
her baseline.
Well,
This is where we start seeing her baseline. And you've seen her baseline of where she's telling the truth. She's going to give events in order. And her baseline is she looks directly at Hoda. She makes eye contact. She's very sure of her words. Her words come out crisply. Her words come out cleanly.
I had given Mike for Christmas a boys trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff and the kids were running around. And my sister called me and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing."
So we have baseline,
said,
baseline.
What? Yeah. What are you talking about? She said, "She's gone."
And here's where we lose her. This is exactly where we lose her. All of that, again, baseline, very easy to say. Now we've got a lot of eye direction going off to the left. And we are going to start getting not word salad, but we're definitely going to get words that are just kind of jumbled.
She was in a panic.
She was in a panic.
I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode.
Like some kind of, we thought she like had some kind of, that is not at all. That's not at all. So again, she's off of her baseline this entire already 30 seconds in
the night, and that somehow, you know, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, you know, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there's a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, you know,
and
Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call them.
But then I'm like, going to call all the hospitals. This is all just her filling air. This is not anything at all what they were talking about.
The hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and
look at, she's just making stuff up at this point. This entire section of that first conversation did not go anything like this. And again, it's not bad. It's just that she cannot share in this interview what they were really talking about. And that's all I'm saying is in the very early stages of this, there was an entirely different conversation going on that first day or two until Savannah and Cam get to Annie's house. They're already talking about who this person is, and I've had this person reaching out and saying these things, and the bells are ringing. Could this have been as a result of this person, this obsessed fan? And, you know, maybe they're still not sure that it is, but I'm telling you right now, the way that her words are not her baseline. She's, again, very clear speaker, very concise. Her words are clear. She doesn't use, in her normal speech, she doesn't use the words like, you know, so, like, it was like this, so, you know, it was this, it was kind of like this. No, that's not somebody who's telling the truth.
And the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other. And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying.
She's just stumbling over her words right here. So again, they're trying to explain to the sheriff that there's an underlying situation going on here. You guys are not listening to me. She did not just walk off. Annie was probably not concise enough with law enforcement, or maybe did not have the entire picture of what was going on. And so it really took Savannah calling Senator Mark Kelly to get with the sheriff, Chris Nanos, wake him from his beauty slumber, and explain to them, because it was not until day 2 that this was taken differently. It was the first day, it was a walk-off. Day 2, when Nanos starts doing his little pressers, it's being treated as a search and rescue. The whole tone had changed, and nothing in the house presented itself to give law enforcement evidence that it was anything other than a walk-off. Everybody that we've heard has said that the house was clean. It was tidy. There was nothing knocked over. The only indication that things were off were the doors propped open in the back, the camera removed, and blood on the front porch, which, hello. But again, they were treating it as a walk-off. Maybe she hit her head and just started walking, into the desert. She was confused, blah, blah, blah. But the scene, there was nothing at the scene that made law enforcement change their theory until Savannah and Cam got to Tucson, got a hold of the senator, and got the sheriff. It wasn't until then that it changed. And again, this all points to Savannah already having information about who this obsessed fan was. Savannah and probably Cam were aware that there was somebody who had been acting oddly, communicating, reaching out to her, asking her to do, behave, give something. Okay. Again, there's nothing that the sheriff department saw, because the whole thing with law enforcement is they follow the evidence. There was not enough evidence on day one for them to treat this as a kidnap or abduction, targeted abduction for ransom or revenge. Nothing in that house told law enforcement that this was needed to be changed from a walk-off to a targeted abduction. What changed that between day 1 and 2 was Savannah and Cam coming into town and saying, look, guys, this is what's really going on. And it was that additional evidence that changed the entire scope of the investigation. Okay. Nothing was going to change treating it like a walk-off until Savannah and Cam come to town. And that is proof that they've known exactly why Nancy was taken this whole time. Now, I don't know that they know the name of the person. If they knew the name of the person, they would already have said person. This person is sophisticated enough that he's been able to hide his digital tracks. The DNA of Porch Guy may not be the same person who has been sending the ransom notes, and may not be the same person who had reached out to Savannah in the first place. But this person clearly likes attention, wanted attention from Savannah, and we're going to go to her Instagram videos next. But, you know, out of all the things that have happened and trying to put the pieces together, the theory is the family has known that this was an obsessed fan of Savannah's, and this is not a family member that took Nancy. Again, the family has not done this. The family is the easiest, lowest hanging fruit. If it was the family, they would have been arrested day 30. They would have been arrested day 40. And I understand. I totally get it. Okay. But if it was the family, they would have been caught between financial records, car GPS, cell phone, communication. It's too easy to have gotten the family. They've had luminol, night photos, and I was there with you, Elisa. I was there. I'm thinking, oh, dang, this is sad. Savannah's going to freak out when she realizes that so-and-so did this. That sucks. That's horrible. But I'm telling you, as much of a black eye that the Pima County Sheriff's Department has taken, these guys are so embarrassed at their sheriff and how this has been handled and how the world is looking at them. They would, if there was anything that linked to a family member, that the search warrants that they probably got in the middle of the night from waking up a judge saying, Judge, we need you to sign the search warrant. We got to go in. We got to get the bank records of so-and-so. We got to rip the car apart. It took them 40 some days getting that car because they took that car apart. They probably ripped the seats out. People were saying, why is it taking so long for them to get their car back? Well, it takes a while because they probably ripped the seats, the seat covers with knives and razor blades. They ripped and they took carpet. They took the headliner. They took the dash out. they ripped the car apart and would have had to have ordered all those parts and put the car back together like an assembly line. So again, it's too easy if the family was involved. We would already have answers if the family was involved. And that's all I'm saying, because I've been there. Okay. I've spent so much time thinking about this, and I read all your comments, and I've done my own research. There's no way that they wouldn't have done their parade of perp walk with confetti flying, carrying Nanos and the lead investigator on their shoulders through the streets. If it was a family member, this would have already been put to bed, and there'd be a whole other situation of Annie filing divorce papers against her husband, okay, trying to protect her assets. And, family argue, family fight. Doesn't mean you're going to kill them. What if they asked Nancy for a loan? What if they had financial issues? Doesn't mean you're going to murder somebody. So again, if it was the family, that's the easiest solution to this. And the family would have already been detained, locked up, mugshot, fingerprinted. And yes, there's a killer on the loose, guys. And this is the thing. This guy is an obsessed fan, and they were moving houses because this person could be in the Tucson area, could be in LA, could be close enough to have been there, and could have been standing right in front of Annie's house, which I'm sure is standing in front of Nancy's house. So they had a level of their own personal safety. All right, so let's go to her Instagram. And again, thank you so much for staying with me tonight, you guys, and listening to me. And again, I don't have all the answers. I don't. But I can kind of feel things from people. I can kind of see how she's talking. And again, if you can agree or you don't have to agree. We won't know until the end, but I'm just saying at this point, it makes perfect sense. I have a connection to Cameron, and it's a coworker of Cameron's. He's very private. And in March, the coworker who is a friend of mine had, respectfully was talking with Cam, and Cam has said it's 100% linked to Savannah. This is 100% linked to Savannah. This is an obsessed fan. So going along with this theory, let's look at, again, the family talking to the kidnapper and listening to the words, knowing that this is an obsessed fan that has used specific language in emails beseeching Savannah to do something, to give him attention, and all those good things. So let's watch the first video. Yay. Merely human. We need our mom. Please use your heart. And I mean, Cam's chest is going up and down. He's very emotional right now. And here she's addressing it. We're ready to talk. AI. And it's true. And this is where I think that they could have screwed up. And I'll stop it now. I think that this is where they probably really regret this, because the FBI was leading them in, giving them suggestions, and in their professional opinion, this is what you need to do to negotiate. And okay, thank you so much. You know what? You're right. I didn't have the right screen up. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I forgot I had to change to my Instagram. I'm so sorry, guys. I beg your pardon. I don't know if you could. Video froze. Okay. So this is a video that I was just playing. I don't know if you could hear it or not. Probably.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
So again, and I want to put this up here. So Cam doesn't know 100% for sure. Even the sheriff says they can't be 100% sure. Of course, absolutely. But I am pretty sure that Cam is the kind of person, with his military background and their connections, he's not going to settle for I don't know. Okay? He's not going to settle for I don't know. He is, again, a man of few words. He's not going to mess around. And again, I've heard firsthand that he says it's tied to Savannah. And the sheriff did start that sentence out of, before he said we can't be 100% sure, but the sheriff started the sentence out with, we've known since day one what this is. And the sheriff had also mentioned that when asked if the public was at risk, he said the public, needs to be vigilant. The public needs to, absolutely, because there's a killer on the loose, period. So while nobody can be 100% sure, they're sure. Okay. They don't know the person, but they know who did this. And Cam is not going to settle. He's not going to settle for no answers. Okay. Again, he's a quiet guy. He's very private, but he means business. And this is tied to Savannah. They knew exactly who this was on day one. And I'll play him because he's not, again, he's kind of a man's man. he's not going to sit idly by. I think that he did this next video on her Instagram because he couldn't just sit by and not say something to get his mother back.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
They want to talk to him. This person, I think that the communication slowed down because the mother expired and wasn't supposed to have. But again, yeah, he is reading a piece of paper because they needed to have their words, I'm sure, approved by the FBI and the negotiators who do this for a living. So they probably wrote stuff, but the FBI might have edited it and wrote it down so that they could be very clear. You don't want to go off script and say things that could agitate the kidnapper. But does the family regret not paying the ransom immediately? Probably. Did the FBI warn them not to pay the ransom until they got proof of life? Probably. Okay. Again, the FBI is working off of patterns, things that they've seen before. FBI profilers are working off of patterns. FBI profilers find out about people that do these things by talking about people who have done these things. Dr. Gary Brucato, he has one of the largest databases, and he's so fanatic about it that he says whenever a crime happens, and I don't know what threshold he uses of crime, but literally he has a spreadsheet or a document database where he will enter the crime, who did it, information about who did it, the motive, why they did it, where they did it, and any background notes, because he literally is able to access this database. And he goes to targeted abduction, and these are the people that have done this in the past, and this is why they did it. This is what they looked like. This is their, like this person he has described as a wolf in sheep's clothing. I agree that he's probably someone who is educated, who considers himself an equal to Savannah, very intelligent, can put a sentence together from the ransom notes, probably has money or maybe needs money because of a lifestyle that he can't afford. And yeah, it was a big gamble. But the family has never been through this before. The family is looking to experts to tell them what to do, and the experts are going off of patterns and what they've seen in the past and told them not to pay the ransom. And they probably really regret it, but I don't know that they would have gotten her back anyway. And that may be what the FBI said. Without proof of life, you should not pay, because you may end up paying this person and never get her back, which is very possible. But do they regret not putting that reward out for the $1 million sooner? Yes. I mean, but it's you just never know. So let's watch this one, and then we'll probably end the night.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Again, 1-to-1.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her.
And I mean, again, Annie, we don't know much about Annie. Cam is very quiet. He had this one video, but in these videos, most of the time it's Savannah talking, and, she's trying to humanize the mom. She's using soft words. We will forgive you. It's not too late to do the right thing. She's really reaching out to this person because he has the connection to her. Okay. Again, this is all about Savannah. And she has been punished by having her mother taken away because she did not do whatever it was he wanted. And she didn't give him attention. And he feels like he had to do something extreme to get the attention that he either feels entitled to, that he deserved, and he got her attention. All right. Well, thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate, even insulting comments. I will take them all because I'm not perfect and we're not going to know what this is until the end. And I am just praying that they do get something. I'm hoping that they do get this solved, however long it takes. But I, again, appreciate everybody for spending your Saturday night with me. Please make sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell. I do live content as often as I can. And, I'm going to stick with the story. I've covered a few other stories, but it seems like people are really invested in Nancy, just like I am. And I feel very fortunate to have been able to go out to her home and see that memorial last week. It's already been a week. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joe. I want to give Joe a shout out. He's actually signed up to be a member, and I'm going to shoot you a message and thank you so much for your support. So much for everybody. So until next time, I will catch you on the flip side.